On a chilly morning in December 2020, the world woke up to a shocking revelation. One of the richest men in history, worth over $50 billion, had vanished without a trace. No plane tickets, no credit card transactions, no messages. One moment he was there, the next, gone. The media called it the greatest financial mystery of the decade, but those who dug deeper found something much more sinister. Was he kidnapped, assassinated, or did he orchestrate his own disappearance to escape something far worse? The rise of a titan. Daniel Whitmore's story began far from the glittering skyscrapers and luxury penthouses of the world's financial capitals. Born in a modest town in Ohio, he was raised by a single mother who worked tirelessly to make ends meet. From an early age, Daniel displayed an extraordinary aptitude for mathematics and a thirst for knowledge that went beyond his years. He was obsessed with numbers, with patterns, with the way things fit together. His favorite pastime was reading about the great financial moguls who shaped the world. It didn't take long for Daniel to realize that he had a rare gift, the ability to predict the unpredictable. While others saw randomness, Daniel saw strategy. At just 25, he founded his first tech startup, Whitmore Innovations, which focused on AI-driven solutions for financial forecasting. But unlike most startups that fizzled out, Daniel's company skyrocketed, thanks to an algorithm he developed that could predict stock market trends with eerie accuracy. By 30, he was a billionaire, and by 35, he had expanded into cryptocurrency, blockchain, and high-frequency trading. But Daniel wasn't just in it for the money. As his wealth grew, so did his thirst for power. He became a puppeteer, pulling strings behind the scenes of major corporations, governments, and even intelligence agencies. His network of influence spread across continents, and whispers began to circulate about his ability to manipulate entire financial markets to his will. Some said he could make or break economies with a single tweet. However, as Daniel's empire grew, so did his obsession with control. He didn't just want to dominate the financial world, he wanted to control information, influence global politics, and perhaps even bend the fabric of reality itself. Behind closed doors, Daniel became more erratic, more secretive, more paranoid. He trusted no one, except for a select few who were bound by an unspoken allegiance, a brotherhood of sorts, that included business magnates, former spies, and shadowy figures whose names were never mentioned in public. And yet, despite his immense power, Daniel knew that even the richest men couldn't buy everything. There were forces in the world that money could never touch, forces far beyond his understanding, far beyond his ability to control, forces that had begun to close in on him. The threat that changed everything. In early 2020, as the world began to feel the ripple effects of the global pandemic, Daniel received a cryptic email. It came from an anonymous sender, encrypted with layers of technology that even his own security team couldn't crack. The message read, "You have taken what does not belong to you. You were warned. You have until December 2020 to make it right, or you disappear." At first, Daniel thought it was a hoax. He had received countless threats over the years, many from disgruntled employees, competitors, or even foreign governments. But there was something about this one that made his blood run cold. The words seemed too precise, too personal. The warning wasn't just a generic threat, it was a command, a chilling ultimatum. For weeks, Daniel's life was consumed with this ominous message. He couldn't shake the feeling that someone powerful was watching him. This wasn't just a rival trying to take him down, it was something much darker, something that went beyond the realm of business. But what? Then came the second warning. This time, it wasn't an email. It was a phone call from a blocked number. The voice on the other end was distorted, but Daniel could hear the malice in every word. "You've uncovered secrets that should have stayed buried. You've crossed a line, Daniel. Make it right, or the consequences will be dire." Daniel's obsession with control only grew as the threats escalated. He began investigating every facet of his life, every business transaction, every deal. He turned to his trusted allies, the ones who had always been by his side, but even they seemed to grow distant. Business partners became increasingly reluctant to meet with him. His security team began making excuses, calling in sick or suddenly resigning. His family disappeared, going into hiding without a word. It was as though everyone around him had been compromised, as though some unseen force had infiltrated every aspect of his life. In a panic, Daniel turned to his most secretive acquisition, global fintech, the mysterious financial institution that had links to shadowy offshore accounts, intelligence agencies, and international money laundering rings. This was a place that operated in the shadows, where the line between legal and illegal was blurry at best. He quickly realized that he had uncovered something far more dangerous than he had imagined. Global fintech wasn't just a company. It was a front for a global network, one that operated at the highest levels of power. Its connections reached into the heart of governments, private sectors, and even criminal organizations. It was a global intelligence operation, a hub of secrets that could topple nations. But what exactly had Daniel uncovered? What was it about this company that had made him a target? December 12, 2020. The night Daniel Whitmore vanished was one of the most chilling moments in modern history. It was an ordinary evening at first. Daniel was in his penthouse in Geneva, pacing nervously in the dim light of his office. His eyes were bloodshot from sleepless nights spent worrying, digging deeper into the mysterious threats. There was something he was missing, something that would explain everything. But what? Around 9:30 p.m., Daniel made a final desperate call to one of his oldest allies, a man named Jack Forsyth, who had been involved in many of the covert operations Daniel had been a part of. Jack's voice was terse, anxious. "Get out now, Daniel. You don't know what you're dealing with. They know everything. You're too deep." Daniel didn't respond. He couldn't. His mind was consumed by the urgency of it all. At that moment, the doorbell rang. A black SUV pulled up outside his building. The cameras on the street, as always, were working. But when the SUV stopped and the figures inside got out, the cameras blinked out, suddenly and without explanation. At precisely 2:43 a.m., a figure in a black coat entered the building's lobby. The security guard, who was new and unfamiliar with Daniel's routine, didn't question the man's presence. The figure took the elevator to Daniel's penthouse. At 2:51 a.m., the building was empty. Daniel Whitmore had disappeared. The penthouse was pristine, untouched. There were no signs of struggle, no broken windows, no unlocked doors. His personal items, his clothes, his notes, his phone were all gone. No one had seen a thing. It was as if Daniel had vanished into thin air. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of media frenzy and public speculation. Where was Daniel Whitmore? Had he been kidnapped? Had he staged his own disappearance? Or had he been taken out by someone more powerful than he ever imagined? The official story? Daniel Whitmore fled to avoid mounting financial fraud investigations. The media pounced on the story, accepting it without question. The man who had been worth over $50 billion was suddenly just another fugitive, another rich man running from the law. But the people who knew him, really knew him, weren't buying it. Some believed Daniel had been silenced by powerful financial elites. Perhaps he had stumbled upon something so dangerous, so explosive, that he had to be eliminated. Others speculated that he had uncovered an intelligence black operation, something so secret that it could bring down governments if it was exposed. Then there was the theory that he had simply vanished on his own accord, that Daniel had orchestrated his disappearance to escape the weight of the world he had built. Perhaps he had grown tired of the constant power games, the constant surveillance, and the endless threats. Maybe he had planned his own exit, leaving behind a life of luxury to disappear into the shadows forever. But there was one theory that stood above the rest, that Daniel was still out there, watching, waiting. Perhaps he had orchestrated the entire thing, not just to escape, but to expose something far bigger than himself. It has now been years since Daniel Whitmore vanished. The world has moved on, but there remains an unsettling question. Could Daniel Whitmore still be alive? Could he be watching, waiting, perhaps preparing to reveal the most dangerous secret of all? And if he is out there, what does he know that we don't? A new offshore account containing billions of dollars has recently surfaced under a pseudonym never seen before. It's as if someone is still pulling the strings, someone who knows far more than they're letting on. The mystery of Daniel Whitmore is far from over. The truth is still out there. If you want to uncover more shocking stories, hit that subscribe button Give us a like and share this mystery with the world. Stay tuned for the truth that's waiting to be revealed.